I mean, I don't know if I can say this, but I'll say it.
You can say it. We can always edit. That's the beauty of magic of editing. Yes, sir. Say it out loud, baby boy.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel when they were coming out with Christmas Story 2?
Is there a certain type of energy or vibe that you like to bring to your characters that you're given when it comes to, Christmas or Christmas time?
You realize you were the first OG. You were the first original gangster. Like,
welcome back, my dear listeners, to another Major Award edition of Talking a Christmas Story with the cast. My name is Yano Anaya, and I am your host. You also might know me as Grover Dill, that nasty little toady from your favorite Christmas movie or Christmas story. Now, this week, we are bringing you an interview with a celebrity, and he has been in so many movies, and very notably, he is the star of a few Christmas movies. There is something unique and almost indescribable about playing a role in a beloved holiday classic, and I can't wait to unpack all these treasures with him. Jonathan Stoddard, the star of A Royal Christmas on Ice, and many others. He'll be joining me today to talk about his relationship with The Christmas Story, the unforgettable quotes and scenes that he has loved so much growing up, and what it all means to him. There is something truly special and ineffable about the energy of a Christmas movie, whether you are a sucker for the old classics or you love to watch the new Christmas movies that come out each December. There is something about the essence of a Christmas movie that keeps us all coming back year after year. And we invite these movies into our home to bake cookies with, to help us decorate our trees, to sing to us while we make Christmas dinner, almost like a family member who lives a few states away, not always around, but close to our hearts. They are a warm hug on a cold night, a whimsical ride away from the problems and struggles that consume us on a daily basis, and a reminder that sometimes with the help of a bit of a holiday magic, your dreams can come true. And I am so fortunate to have met many of our fans over the years, and I know what it's like to feel as though you're more to people than just a face on a screen. You feel like a guest at their dinner table. I've had the honor of playing a role in the holiday traditions nostalgia and memories of so many people, and I am often humbled by the stories fans have told me, and I just want to say that I am truly grateful for them. Thanks to each and every fan out there with this experience that has gone a long time since the cameras stopped rolling. And I know the rest of the cast of A Christmas Story feels it. Our guest today also knows what it's like to be teleported through the magic of television or laptop screen directly into the living rooms of people and fans all over the world during the holiday season. Jonathan Stoddard is a versatile actor known for his leading roles in Hallmark Christmas movies, including A Prince and Pauper Christmas and A Royal Christmas on Ice. With a background in theater, Jonathan has made a name for himself in romantic comedies and holiday films, bringing warmth and charm to screens during the festive season. His ability to embody various characters has made him a beloved figure in many households, especially during the holidays, where his performances create memorable, heartwarming experiences for all who watch his movies. With no further ado, Jonathan Stoddard. Jonathan!
How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous, man. Thank you for being patient. I greatly appreciate that, man. I really do.
Oh, are you kidding? Thank you. This is so cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. So, Jonathan, my name is Yano Anaya, aka Grover Dill, and this is Talking a Christmas Story with the Cast podcast. And this is exciting to have a celebrity as yourself, Jonathan Stoddard, with multitudes of Christmas movies under your belt. But yeah, it's a synergistic road here, man, right? So, I always like to start off. First of all, you can introduce yourself, kind of just go through, who you are, what you've been doing, where are you located? And then, what this movie means to you when you first saw it in your life, and what resonates with you the most about the movie A Christmas Story.
Well, so first things first, what's up, everyone? I'm Jonathan Stoddard. Yes. Secondly, I gotta say, you were such an iconic part of one of the most famous Christmas movies of all time. I mean, not just like, oh, of the 90s, of the like of all time period. It's Miracle on 34th Street and A Christmas Story. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. I couldn't even tell you the first time that I saw it. It has just always been a part of my family's tradition. So probably you were in my subconscious before I knew how to speak, because I'm the youngest of four. So I mean, there were traditions built in my family before I came around. So
that's that's for me, that resonates a lot, because when you can say that you can't even really remember when this became part of your life, what that tells me is that your parents absolutely loved this movie, and it had to be on in the background, or it was a tradition for you guys to watch it during Christmas and maybe even during the year too. And so for me, that's an amazing story. I gotta just, I want to give a shout out to your parents for doing that, because obviously it resonates with them so much that they wanted to share that with their children, which now, we're not kids anymore. Do you have any children, by the way, Jonathan, yet?
I don't have any children.
No? Okay.
Not yet.
All right. So that may be a tradition that can be passed on, but as an adult, I know that you share those memories. You share those times of Christmas and watching the movie. And as an adult, like, tell me what resonates with you the most as when you were a child with family and tradition.
Well, yeah, what's interesting, and I don't want to get into like bigger global concepts of traditions and, times are changing and like all of that.
Sure.
But in the 80s, when I was first becoming conscious, the idea of a tradition was like a really big thing, right? It's like you had to wait until an airtime in order to watch something on our TV, which weighed 600 pounds. And it was, we had those big boxes back in the 80s. And it was a huge
remote controls.
Yeah. And, we would all get together and huddle next to a TV. And it was a very intimate, traditional kind of thing that we all looked forward to. Like show times meant something. So when we would sit down and watch A Christmas Story, on Christmas Day, that was always just such a really big thing. Like we would rush to the TV, sit down as a family. I remember sitting on the rug watching it. People would be, making a hot tea or a cider or something like that. We had a couple apple trees as well. And so they'd be making applesauce or, and just running around, and we were rambunctious. But my goodness, when that TV came on, it was such a magical kind of thing. So obviously times have changed a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We're TV on demand now, right? We can watch it whenever we want. That's something, special that, most younger generation people can't comprehend, that there was a time, and that time was, and we didn't have Google Calendar. We didn't have anything, right? We had notes and we had little things like that. That was just a reminder. TV guide. Yeah, I remember the TV guide. Exactly. And so I remember getting those TV guides in the mail. It was like, oh my God, like we get to see what's happening on TV, and there's a whole schedule of the TV shows that were happening. And when you saw A Christmas Story in that TV guide, it was like, it was setting up an event. Like literally it was creating something in the family unit that everybody well, at least the kids were super excited to just plop down in the living room and eat popcorn and just celebrate Christmas with the smells of Christmas and the piles of presents, and just cuddle up and watch A Christmas Story, man. So, that's those times have changed. And I know that there's a lot of parents out there that really do their best to try to bring those kinds of traditions back. And, we, as a Christmas Story cast, we as a Christmas Story family, we're big on these kinds of things when it comes to traditions. And we are working hard to try to continue to share that traditions are very important. They're an important part of our childhood, part of our past, current, present, and also the future. So, it's beautiful to hear you express the joy that you had back in those times. And I know that you probably still take some time to watch that movie, maybe with whoever family, again, around the holidays. And because, you have had the opportunity of working on Christmas shows, Is there a certain type of energy or vibe that you like to bring to your characters that you're given when it comes to, Christmas or Christmas time?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I can say this, but I'll say it.
You can say it. We can always edit. That's the beauty of magic of editing. Yes, sir. Say it out loud, baby boy.
But it has a Disney feel to it.
Mm.
It's Disney people. It's Disney problems. I mean, whenever I'm doing a Christmas movie and filming it as an actor myself, these are Disney problems.
Yeah.
Not quite champagne problems, as Miss T Swift would say, or anything else. It's just Disney, right? It's a simple misunderstanding. It's a complicated idea that, it just hasn't really hit us yet. Or it was just that little miss of timing, and that was it. Or somebody didn't get, that choo-choo train, or, so I call them Disney problems. And that's usually what I like to think of when I'm approaching a character going into a Christmas movie.
How long have you been an actor, Jonathan?
Been full time for about 8 years. Wanted to do this. Wanted to do this back in my early 20s, and then ended up stopping after about 1.5 years, and then started again about 8 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing, man. And I think that, as an actor and finding the passion, the love for the craft, and starting to really feel confident about your skills, because of practice and audition. And I know that, after a period of time when you're rejected for such a period of time, we may tend to feel what we have to do next to get to land that job. Right. And so, coming back to it, having the opportunity to come back to it, and then landing some gigs, man, that, are not just small little gigs, but they're nice productions. You know what I mean? I think that that's very fulfilling for you. Am I on the right track?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's still something that I have immense pleasure and joy over, and especially with, so I mean, on Christmas Day, we have things like, Elf is now one of the movies as well. We watch A Christmas Story. So literally, like, our family just watched it this last Christmas. It's not a debatable thing. It just happens. Like, it is a part of our family's existence. But then what they've started doing, because for the last 4 years, I've been doing Christmas movies, or had a movie come out either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something like that. But my family gets together, and I've got 7 nephews now. And they all sit down, and we kind of watch everything as a family. And so there's some really cool things that I get to experience and share with them during the holidays now.
Yeah, personal experience, which I want to ask you about yours, is personal experience of family and friends seeing you on TV has a very unique experience, right? So, I'll briefly tell you what my first experience with my son was with a couple of his friends the first time we watched A Christmas Story together, with his friends. He was 10 years old, right? And it's the same age I was in the movie. And all his friends are 9, 10, and 11, right? And we're gathered around, Christmas, and we're watching A Christmas Story. One of his friends looked at Giovanni, which is my son's name, and he was like, "Giovanni, we didn't know you were an actor. Like, how did you even get into this movie? When did you do this movie?" And he was like, "That's my dad." They were like, "Oh, okay." So, kids lose the concept of time and age. And so that was a great experience. So tell me, like, what is a heartfelt, memorable experience that you've had with your family watching you on the screen, not with necessarily just A Christmas Story, watching Christmas Story, but you on the screen in one of your movies?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I mean, I will say, like, I again, just a quick shout out to you. Like, you were some of the first quotes that I remember saying as a kid. Just so you know, and I don't know if you get this a lot on the show, but I'm trying to remember, because like, even there are those little things, even like Joey from Friends, like, "How you doing?"
Yeah,
right? I'm sure somebody else said it somewhere, some other time, but you had a couple things like, "Hey, you, get over here," and like, there are these little things.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
you know, these little moments, where I'm going to tell my dad, like there are these things that I remember as a kid, that you said that were just, I don't know if it was just the delivery. I don't know if it was the time. I don't know if it was the emotion. Could it be, it's usually D, all of the above.
Yeah.
But, that was just such a cool period of my life growing up. Yeah. But
That's
anyway,
awesome. And you know what?
the,
I'm honored, man. Thank you for
yeah,
expressing that, because that does it not only brings a lot of memories back, but it just it helps me remember how important that character was to a lot of individuals. And when you go on these events and you do autograph signings and you do these things, for the fans, to be there for the fans and the public, you get a lot of feedback. And that's been a lot of feedback that I've gotten over the years from a lot of fans, was very, either, oh my God, I hated you. Like, you were my nemesis and I'll never forget that. And then there's also those ones that, like, oh my God, like, I loved your character. And yes, it's these quotes like, all right, who's next? Like, it's like being at the gym, and because I don't ever just tell people, hey, by the way, I'm Grover Dill from A Christmas Story. You know what I mean? And so being at the gym and meeting people and talking, and then it finally comes out and they're like, oh my God, like I tell my students every single day, all right, who's next? And for her, that's a piece of who she is because of the movie. Right.
yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, man. That's
You realize you were the first OG. You were the first original gangster. Like, no. And because think about this. Think
I
about
love
this.
that. I love that. That's
Because
amazing.
you had the Italian feel. You came in, bulldogish, and you were like, "Hey, yo," you got the cap on and stuff. Like, you were the original gangster. I mean, the other bully, it's like, yes, he's amazing and cool, and his laugh is probably the most iconic thing. And of course, how they like, and then even in A Christmas Story too, and like the cast was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, man, before The Sopranos, before Godfather, all that stuff, you were the original gangster.
That's amazing, man. I love that. We're gonna have to coin that. I love that. That's the first time. That's the first I've heard that. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's amazing. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, another question, as your journey as an actor, I know that it's a constant thing. It's a constant, it's a job. It's constantly, challenging ourselves to become better actors and to really love our craft and to study and to hopefully find, a job or a script that resonates with us a lot. Because, a mentor has always told me, he's like, don't necessarily look at the movie, look at how you can make your character make the movie better. Right. And so really resonating with that character. Do you have any projects upcoming that you'd like to share, that you can share, that's or something to look forward to that you have in your career so far?
Yeah, it's been a very wild journey.
It has.
And that stretches a lot of different things, right? There's being a working actor, as one idea. There's not wanting to get pigeonholed. There's trying to couple in concepts of marketing and content curation and all this kind of stuff, and finding a way to cut through the noise, which, I mean, now almost anybody can pick up their phone and be an actor. And there's a really interesting idea around, personalities versus content, like just content creation and what people put on through Instagram or TikTok or all this kind of stuff. And so, and that's not even including stage and doing theater and musicals and everything. So my journey, because I've seen both sides of this industry, in a sense, I feel like I have a unique perspective in the sense that because I first entered LA back in like 2006, and I was there for about a year and a half. I did extra work, and that's how I got started. But that was back before, you know, the whole cell phone and 4K and access to cameras, and you could buy something on Amazon. Yeah, good luck. I mean, that wasn't an available thing.
Yeah.
So to get a voucher to get into SAG back in 2006, 2005, this was, this was before the merger of SAG and AFTRA. And
Right.
this, like, it was such a different industry. It was such a different time. It was, the networks still controlled everything. Like, there was such a different world. So to be an actor then was such had a different meaning, a different gravitas, different weight to it. Now it's very interesting, with third-party curation, production companies popping up left and right, people making movies and then selling them to the networks. There really aren't too many constant originals anymore. Now it's like, that does happen, of course, but a lot of the stuff that we see online through streaming services are based off of third-party production companies making it and then selling it, to streaming services like Hulu and Amazon and everything. So it's been an interesting journey because and I know this is a kind of a roundabout way of answering your question, but when I came back to LA for the second time, I wanted to hit the industry from every single possible angle, because this, as I'm sure you know as well, this is one of the most humbling professions you could possibly do. And you can be on top of the world one day and the next day nobody knows your name. And then you still have to fight for that next job, like you were talking about. You still have to audition. You still have to figure out how to jump the train tracks from, okay, I just do rom-coms, that's how they see me. No, now I just do Christmas movies, that's how they see me. Now I just do horror movies and that's how they see me. Or now I just do TV and now I want to do movies. Like, everybody in this profession and in the entertainment industry always has to find a way to jump a track, because in order to progress, we always have to break the mold of what society has put us in to be able to move forward to the next thing. So I have a lot of things that I've done where I've crossed genre over the last 5 years. And then I have a bunch of movies that are going to be coming out, including Christmas movies, including rom-coms, including horror, psychological thriller, Christopher Nolan style movies.
Amazing.
Some cool sci-fi, but I'm still in an interesting headspace of doing that, of doing this cross genre. I want to be a part of every industry. I want to, or like, not industry, but I want to be a part of this industry.
Sure.
On every channel.
Genres, yeah, very diversified, and that's actually really smart, because when you can diversify, you know, your look, your abilities, your application, it becomes easier for you to land jobs. And then also you're seen in those different genres. And then, of course, you get to know the producers and the directors and, you know, the casting agents, you know what I mean? And so once those relationships are really established and you can keep up those relationships and you're grateful to those relationships, then, you know, typically you'll start to get emails with scripts, you know what I mean? And that's amazing to be at that level. Yeah.
It's, I mean, as you know, it's a journey. Just to say the least.
To say the least. That's 100% correct. Where are you based now, Jonathan?
I'm based out of Los Angeles.
Okay. All right. Still there.
So at least that's where I pay rent.
Okay. Understood. Yes.
Very expensive storage unit that I occasionally sleep in.
That's awesome. What part of LA are you in?
Oh, right in the heart of Hollywood.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. It's actually kind of nice. You've lived in
I'm based in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta, but I was raised.
Atlanta.
You know,
I was just in Atlanta.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next time you're out here, we got to have lunch.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I would love that.
For sure.
But I don't know about eating lunch on you. I mean, let's go to a restaurant or something.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Let's have lunch, and I'll take care of it.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel when they were coming out with Christmas Story 2?
Well, I I knew that there was, I mean, it was a long process. They were, probably 6 years into trying to make it happen. Because the different, and Pete's the one that really initiated it, and they went through a couple of different writers. Um, Ernst Willing, who is a part owner of the copyrights for A Christmas Story, that negotiate with them, and then Warner Brothers, and it's just a lot, it's a lot. And then Legendary. Um, so when I heard officially about it, I was super excited because I knew that, Peter's heart is where it needs to be when it comes to A Christmas Story, because, little background, when when we were done, we wrapped Christmas Story back in '83. Bob Clark and Peter and Scott Schwartz kind of lived very close to each other. And so as, Peter grew up and grew older, he always was very fascinated about behind the scenes. And even as a child, rock star, him and Scott Schwartz, Bob kind of took them under their wing and showed them the ropes about production and about, directing and screenwriting and copywriting and content creation and, the whole works about the industry. And so he had a really good start at a very young age to be exposed to that and not necessarily have to pay for college or work his way into the industry. So, and then, of course, Vince Vaughn was a best friend of his, when they were kids back in the late 80s. They even roommates with each other. And, Vince was one of those kids that moved to Hollywood like yourself and was like, hey, if I ever make it big in this crazy town, because I got to go to work now waiting tables, what I mean? That's what we all doing. And if I ever make it big in this town, then, I got your back. And so, that's how they kind of partnered up after many years of putting in the work and being in the trenches and crossing paths. And so knowing all that history and knowing the richness of how much it meant to Peter and what he wanted to create in kind of like a sequel, Christmas Story Christmas, I had a feeling it was going to be really good. And so knowing the production was actually done in Bulgaria, right? So they flew everybody out there in Bulgaria. And of course, they created the whole set in Bulgaria. Why? I don't know. Probably they saved some money, I guess. Not enough to fly me out there, but but at least I had a little sliver of time with them, because it wasn't, A Christmas Story Christmas without Grover Dill. And I got to give all the respect and love to Peter and also Zach Ward and Scott Schwartz, who really was just pushing Warner Brothers to have a day to we can create something for Grover Dill, and that they made that happen. We actually shot that in North Hollywood, actually Sun Valley, at Zach Ward's studio out there. And so when I saw
that was the prison,
the prison
fantasy,
scene,
right?
Yeah, the prison fantasy. That's correct. And those daydreams are epic, man. I mean, that's and then Gene Shepard being the narrator of the original Christmas Story, and then Peter really doing his best to kind of mimic that whole, tonality with Gene Shepard as being the narrator, and then bringing back those daydreams. Of course, that's the essence of Gene Shepard's writing, right? And so when I saw it, I flew out to LA and we saw it at Legendary, headquarters in their little studio there, and it was like probably 20 of us. And I literally laughed and cried and laughed and cried. And I was like, I can't believe that 38 years later, you know what I mean? Here we are with a sequel. And it was very special, you know what I mean? Because as you already know, like this movie for me has a lot of emotional and a lot of really precious memories, you know what I mean, that have been created as we were kids. So, imagine, I had been an actor ever since I was like 4, and, did a lot of commercials, a lot of sitcoms, and, a lot of TV work when I was a child, until I got my first, audition on this silver screen. It's a big movie, A Christmas Story. And I'm like, oh my God, I finally made it. Right. And so, the audition process, which you already know how it was back in the day. You're always in the room. Like, you never do a digital, audition. That didn't exist. It's like you come running home from school and you got to run to the answer machine and see if you got any auditions. And then, you got to take the time off, and your parents come and pick you up and take you out of school. And everybody's like, why is he leaving school? And so this whole, experience of being a child actor, which most actors don't know this part, is was very challenging because remember there was no MapQuest, there was no Google Maps, and your mom was looking at this huge atlas book of all these different streets in Hollywood and trying to find this little address, and we always left like 2.5 hours early just to get there, which was only a 20-minute ride, just to make sure that we found the place, and then showing up to this hall that had 300 kids auditioning for Grover Dill. At 10 years old, I was like, Mom, this is a waste of time. Look at how many kids are here. This is crazy. Like, what? She said, Mom, my mom, she was like, just do your job. That's why we're here. Just do your job. You're trained for this. Just do your best. Okay. Good mom. So I went and did my thing. And, there were 6 of the casting directors. Who they were, I don't know, but there was just a straight table. And even back in those days, it was you sign in with your social security number and then your name. That's how you signed in on a piece of paper. And so did my thing. And a couple of days later, got a call back. I was like, wow, okay, cool. So, you go back and there's 150 kids. I'm like, oh my God, this is another waste of time. So do your thing and just do my job. And then the last call back, it was Bob Clark and Gene Shepard in the room with a couple of producers. And they just want to see how well you work with the director, how well you take direction, how diverse you can change your personality or your energy. You know what I mean? And so I just did that for Bob, and he said, go ahead and wait outside. And he came out and he pulled my mom to the side, and then he came back in the room, and Mom walked up and said, you got the job as Grover Dill, but you got to cut all your hair off. I'm like, what? I'm not cutting my hair off. Like, I was 10. I never cut my hair. It was huge. I had this all big, beautiful curly hair. And
way bigger than it was in the movie.
It was 5 times longer than it was in the movie. Like, even this little bush right here, they wanted to cut that off. But yeah, so it was a lot longer than that. And so, of course, my mom was like, your hair is going to grow back. Don't worry about it. You're only 10 years old. Get over it. You know what I mean? So that's how I landed that role, man. And knowing that Peter Billingsley and Scott Shorts, who was just in the toy, and Peter was already a star, it was like exciting to work with celebrities. So that was a journey, man. That journey really inspired me to want to continue in this career for the rest of my life. And when I got back, I was like, Mom, this was an amazing experience. Like, we got to have a meeting with my manager. Like, Bob Preston was my agent, and Tammy Lynn was my manager. And I want to go on auditions 2 or 3 times a week. I want to work more. I was so excited. Like, it fueled my desire to really, get more jobs. And I started getting a lot of work, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, a lot of commercials, started doing a lot of little work, but didn't land another movie except for Better Off Dead, which was, a little extra work. And I had 2 lines. Where's my $2? You know what I mean? So, and that happened to be a really good movie. And then I did another movie called The Blue Iguana, which didn't do anything, but it was a good experience. And then Van Halen Hot for Teacher, which is another iconic thing that from the 80s that is just like iconic when it comes to Van Halen. Yeah. And so the journey as an actor, I can resonate with you, is challenging. It's rewarding. It's emotionally driving. It's a lot of relationship building. It's fun. It's tiring. But at the end of the day, I think that storytelling is in a way that we can bring our character to life and tell the story as it's written and add a lot of flavor to it and resonates with, ones that you're working with. We're in people's living rooms. You know what I mean? They're the ones that are reading our energy and listening to our words and feeling what we're actually saying to them. So it is important, the types of roles that we take nowadays, because we are taking on that kind of responsibility. But, at the same time, it is also a job. And as an actor, ex-actor, it's been a really, really wonderful experience. And I'm excited that you're still in it to win it.
Performer?
Well, I can be. Yes, I am. Absolutely. 100% in different ways.
And you're like, that's the beauty of acting, right? It's like you still, whether we like it or not, we're acting whether we're on the camera or not.
You're right.
And that's, as a parent, as an uncle, I mean, when I'm hanging out with my nephews and we're playing around and improvising and leaning into fantasies, and like when they're, jumping around seeing astronauts, and it's like, the floor is lava, and, we all,
Yes.
you gotta play into it with the imagination. It's such an important part of it. Or even just giving that presentation. I mean, lawyers are doing it. We all have to do it.
I'm going to switch gears and we're going to play a little game if you're open to that. So, I always like just to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to come sit with me and talk to our fans. And, by the way, if the fans that are listening right now don't know, we do have a YouTube channel where you can actually go to the channel and watch us play and have fun and have these conversations. So I just always like to remind people that if you are listening to this on like iHeartRadio or, Apple Podcasts, then you can always go to the YouTube channel and check us out. So again, John, this was amazing. Thank you very much for taking the time. What I want to do now, is we're going to start a game called A Royal Christmas Story. And what I want to do is just invite you to, think back to one of your most well-known roles, Prince John from A Royal Christmas on Ice. Now, in this movie, Prince John travels from his home in England to a small town in the United States, right? And I'd like to just have you imagine, if you will, how Prince John would react to traveling to the town of home in Indiana, where the setting for A Christmas Story is. So how this works is I'll describe a scene from the movie, and then all I want you to do is just tell us how you think the prince would respond to that particular situation. So
we're blending the two movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are. All right. So take a minute to think about your character, and can you give us a little description of Prince John's personality for fans of the podcast who actually haven't watched Royal Christmas on Ice yet?
So Prince John he loves hockey. And so while he was, while he was back home, he was always just so intrigued by all the teams and being on ice and everything. Now, he can't really skate that well, but he's no stranger to it. And so he kept getting so frustrated because the teams weren't performing, but only if he got in there and if he could manage them, then he could lead them to success. So he decides to run away and go to the town of his beloved hockey team so that he can acquire them and lead them to victory.
Awesome. Now, without further ado, let's get started with that in mind. So Prince John is walking down the sidewalk in Hammond, Indiana, exploring the town. As he walks past the schoolyard, he notices a group of kids out on the playground, all bundled up in their snowsuits and coats and hats, and they're surrounding a big metal pole, which seemed to be having an argument. And he hears one singular voice yell out, "I triple dog dare ya!" And shortly after that, he sees one of the playground boys with his tongue stuck to that tall, frozen metal flagpole on the playground. So does the prince step in to help the boy with his tongue stuck to the pole or not?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
What does the prince do to help?
One of the most iconic moments ever in movie history. I just have to say. And I know that they did I'm sure so many movies have wanted to rip this off, and Dumb and Dumber ended up doing a little thing.
They did.
Like an homage to it.
I
don't know, because I don't know if that's proprietary property.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But, just that whole thing. And that profile shot of him
swinging his arm. Yes.
Oh God, it's gold.
It is. And
so
go ahead.
Oh no. So wait, what would the prince do? How would he go help?
Prince do? How would he help?
He would probably call his butler to get some hot water, and not knowing exactly what to do. I'm sure it'd be a combination of getting hot water to try to relieve it himself, and also calling the paramedics, so that there was, two things happening at once, but for sure knowing that that was not an ideal situation.
Very good. The prince comes to save the day from a little boy flailing with his tongue stuck to the pole. That's amazing. So later on that day, after he saved Flick from this horrible experience of being stuck, not knowing what to, and all of his friends left him behind, right? Like literally, it's time to go back to school. So the prince is walking to visit a friend in the neighborhood near the school. As he turns down an alley, he sees some of these kids from the playground walking along, oblivious to their tall, yellow-eyed bully Scut Farkas and that nasty little toady Grover Dill getting ready to jump out and scare the living daylights out of him. Does Prince John intervene or watch the scene unfold?
Oh, that's a good question. Does he step in?
See what the acting skills come up with.
This is real life or a movie scenario?
Movie scenario.
And this is the first time
the first time that
he's meeting these kids.
Prince has ever seen this happen.
So I have to say, I don't think the prince would do anything. Because nothing has really happened yet. So not out of cowardice or anything, I think he would take notice and pay attention. But because the moment happens like that, they're walking, they jump out, right? Don't you do a whole thing where you're like, and you do this like bear movement, I think, and they go running off. I think the whole moment in the movie, if it were to happen in real time, I mean, that's a 30-second, 1 minute, maybe at tops movement. There's no physical altercation. There's no issue like that. So I think the prince would just kind of be like, interesting. And then, maybe go on his way, but take note just in case if something does happen a little later that he might step in and intervene.
Touché. Awesome. Beautifully spoken. Love it, because that's kind of how I thought the prince would handle it, is like seeing this thing in motion. Nothing's really tragically happening yet. Some kids get scared. Sure. No foul, no play. Right?
Yeah, he might have like a little dialogue with himself of like, oh my, that's not right. Like, no, oh, well, I hope they're okay. Those boys are not very nice. Something like that, and then kind of go on his way. And then if there is another little issue, then it would be like, hold my jacket.
That's awesome. All right. So after a lovely dinner with friends, Prince John is taking on an evening stroll. Suddenly, without warning, a man comes running out of his home and barrels right into the prince. Excitedly, he actually points at his living room window and shouts, look, all that is a major award. There in the very middle of the window is a leg-shaped lamp, all lit up and glorious. Is the prince appalled or excited for the old man?
Curious and intrigued, I think, might be the two dominant words.
Yes.
It might be that kind of like, oh, yes, that's quite nice. If you're mighty excited about it, I think the prince would probably be happier that he's happy about it. But I don't think the prince is eager to take the lamp leg home and put it in his castle. Or I have a sneaky suspicion that's not going to happen.
All right, last scenario. So Prince John has the pleasure of meeting one of the kids at an event in the town square. The kids are all buzzing with excitement, talking about what they want for Christmas. Prince John asks a little spectacled boy, what would you like for Christmas? And without missing a beat, Ralphie responds, I want an official Red Ryder Carbine Axe 200 shot range model air rifle. So does Prince John encourage him? Or tell him exactly what he's been told by his mom, his teacher, Santa Claus? You'll shoot your eye out, kid. What would Prince do?
I think Prince would say, go for it.
Yes.
You only live once.
Yes.
And
About time somebody had Ralphie's back.
oh, yes. And I think especially because the Prince, there's a whole conversation that I have with my co-star, Anna Marie Dobbins, who's amazing in the movie. And and we have this whole thing about how I've been so sheltered and so protected and wasn't really able to have any fun. So I would say, yes, get it. Protect the world. Fight evil. Get the BB gun.
Victory, finally. Well, Jonathan, man, this was interesting. I am actually very happy to see that how this royal dealing kind of weaved in its way into Christmas Story shenanigans. So this is awesome, man. I love these connections and these things that we get to play with because it's super fun. You know what I mean? It's always fun to just kind of get out of the daily mundane things that we do and have some fun. You know what I mean? Literally. So it has been an absolute pleasure to meet you. And as we come to an end of the podcast, I'm going to open up the floor for you to think about. You know, there's a lot of people that will listen to the podcast Talking a Christmas Story with the cast and probably never even seen the movie. Or there's also those fans that have seen it a million times. So if you can speak to the hearts of those that are both sides, like one about the movie that people have never really seen, or those fans that truly love this movie. And then you can give a shout out to all of your fans as well.
Well, likewise, I want to say this has been an absolute pleasure and such a joyride down memory lane. And it brings up, I mean, that's the beauty of traditions, right? I mean, a tradition is really about an anchoring to a period of time that holds these memories and these moments that are really special to us, which is why traditions are so valuable, so important. It always gives us a place to come back to. And then there are these incredible memories that kind of build over time, over the years. I can kind of like see it in my head, of sitting around the Christmas tree and playing with different traditions from opening a gift. So my family would do, opening a gift Christmas Eve and then getting up and running downstairs and waking people up. And, cause I was the youngest. And so,
you were the first one up.
so I was always the first one up and for, especially with Santa and with everything, they really did their best to keep that magic alive for me. As long as they could until I got to school.
Yeah.
And there was that age when I found out on the playground. Yeah. And it was like, and also I do want to say, speaking of lamp leg, the fact that you have one in your office is pretty amazing.
Signed by everybody too.
They're
my brothers. You know what I mean? We have been doing this for a long time together. And so we're very, very tight, all of us.
This is very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So to dial this in to the people that haven't seen it, first off, go watch it. There's a reason why it has lasted this long and as an important part of people's traditions. And one of my favorite quotes is, "The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it and ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is." And it's one of my favorite quotes because it shares the testimony of time. There's criticism, there's dislike for things, there's all this kind of stuff, but nothing can beat time except truth. It's the only thing that lasts. And the things that have been able to sustain for the last 40 years, like A Christmas Story, I mean, that is, whether you're somebody that watches it now and in 2024 for the first time goes, well, I don't know what all the hype is about. If that's the reaction, because I'm sure people still have both sides of it. If that's the reaction, at least you're part of something that has such a huge cultural movement. And then and hopefully there is respect and appreciation and love and joy that comes along with it. because it's hard to get our generation to sit still for 2 hours now. And then for everyone else who gets it, who understands and feels the warmth and the heart and everything that goes into it when you watch it now for the first time, because there's so much noise, there's so many movies happening, there's all this stuff going on. And again, it's the truth has sustained this movie and its impact and its heart and its ability to tell a story. I mean, this is how it's shot and just there are so many things with this movie that are so special. And I think it's impossible not to feel it when you watch it, personally. So if you haven't watched it, what are you doing? Get out there, go watch it immediately. Who's next? Right? Like you just gotta go watch it. Some of the most iconic phrasing that you can have fun with yourself as an adult or even with kids, from how to pigs eat on their plate, or I can't put my arms down, or so some of the most incredible quotes ever. And then for everyone else who has seen it, you know why you're here, and you know why you turn it on every single year, if not multiple times throughout the year, because now we have this huge movement of Christmas in July. So, and it's such a special thing, and the only thing that I can say for everyone who has seen it, everyone who gets it, everyone who can feel it, everyone who loves the spirit of Christmas and knows that this movie embodies it, is keep the tradition alive. It's important. It's valuable. And this movie sums it up. And it's important that we continue to nurture that, especially as more and more content gets curated. So as much as I'd love everyone to go out and watch my movies, you guys, A Christmas Story will always, always, always hold a place above the rest.
Much respect, Jonathan. As a matter of fact, everybody, celebrity Jonathan Stoddard just told you who's next. Go see the movie.
Go see it.
Go see it. That's amazing, man. Thank you again, Jonathan. This was a huge pleasure and an honor. And I'm very happy and excited for your future as an actor. And of course, now every time that I see you on the screen, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I know that dude.
Dude, anytime
he had lunch on me.
To LA.
Yeah, next time I'm out in LA too, man, I'll definitely hit you up.
Please.
You being in the heart, because Zach Ward does live in North Hollywood. And I've got a couple other friends that, live out in Agora Hills. So, and Scotty Shorts lives out in Simi Valley. Right. So,
Dude, yeah. Get out here. When was your last visit? Come on.
I was there about 3 years ago. I know, right?
Come on. Kids are now teenagers. They've got their college graduate. What are you doing? You got to come out and say hi.
Will do. I'll take you up on it. All right, Jonathan. Well, it was a pleasure again. And thanks for the time. Greatly appreciate you, and looking forward to you on the big screen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, brother.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on today's episode, and a big thank you to Jonathan Stoddard for taking a trip down memory lane with us and sharing his own experiences of being an actor. We hope you remember to take a moment today to appreciate the little traditions that mean so much to you and yours, whether it's watching a classic like A Christmas Story or a new favorite starring Jonathan Stoddard. And remember, those feelings that we get from these movies, not just for Christmas, they're a reminder to carry that warmth, that love with us every day of the year. We want to keep that holiday spirit with us all year round. And we know that you do too. And that's why the A Christmas Story family has come together to create something truly unique just for you, the Christmas Story immersion experience. Now imagine this, you're not just watching your favorite scene from A Christmas Story sitting on your couch. You're living it. You're interacting with us, the cast, weaving these beloved moments into your family's everyday life. This is the magic that we will bring to you at A Christmas Story family. And what makes this even more extraordinary is on December 16th of 2023, for the 40th anniversary of A Christmas Story, we held the biggest event in the movie's history in its birthplace, Hammond, Indiana. The night before the grand celebration, we hosted a very special dinner with the cast, including Peter Billingsley, who played Ralphie, the mayor of Hammond, Irwin Zwilling, who is Gene Shepard's accountant and close friend, as well as a producer on A Christmas Story Christmas, the board members from the Indiana Welcome Center, and many other distinguished guests. Now, at this exclusive dinner, we unveiled our specially crafted gift boxes. These weren't just any gift boxes. They were designed to look just like the iconic leg lamp crate filled with major awards only the old man could dream of. Check it out behind me. Each box valued at $2,500. It was a tribute to the film's legacy and was given to our very special guests to commemorate the historic milestone. We made 28 of these boxes, making them incredibly valuable and exclusive. But that's just the beginning, because now, for the first time ever, we are giving you the chance to get one of these boxes exclusively for free to enhance this new magical experience. And the best part, again, it is free. And to make it even more magical and historic, for the very first time ever in the 40-year history of the movie, we're recreating the original leg lamp design as seen in the movie, an exact replica. It has never been done before. And our partner, Ruben Fried, the original creator of the leg lamp, and Bob Clark's close friend, who still has the original sketches of the leg lamp made for the movie, is bringing this original leg lamp and its original specs and design back to life. And it also comes in that free box. The cast and I have been working on this secret for months, and now it's time for you to discover its beauty. We invite you to check it out. Give us your honest feedback and join us on this incredible journey. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. So just go to www.christmasstoryfamily.com/freebox to find out more and join us and become part of our extended family. Your exclusive journey awaits with us. Looking forward to the next.
Who's next? That Dill guy.